Is your team driving you up a wall? Well, I've got you covered. In today's video, I'm sharing with you my favorite, most practical framework for effective management. My name is Mark Fisher. I am co-founder of Business for Unicorns. And if you like this video and you're interested in hearing more about how we help fitness business owners create more income, more impact, and more freedom, go ahead, click the link below, check out businessforunicorns.com. Whoa boy, I am really excited for today's video because this is, I think, one of the most impactful frames for how I consider effective management. This comes from one of my favorite books on customer service, incidentally. It's called Setting the Table by New York City restaurateur Danny Meyer. It elucidates Union Square Hospitality Group's management approach and service approach, which they call enlightened hospitality. But there's a particular nugget in here that covers how to approach effective management that I have found to be very useful for my career. And I call it the salt shaker theory of management. And I call it the salt shaker theory because there is a story in the book that Danny tells when he was a young small business owner and he was finding himself very frustrated about things. It just seems like he couldn't get everybody to do the things he wanted to do. And a mentor of his came in and noticed Danny was feeling flustered and had Danny sit down, and he was like, all right, Danny, here, just put the salt shaker where you want it. Okay, put the salt shaker where you want it. Danny's like, okay. And I think that's probably the way he said it. He said, okay. And then he puts a salt shaker in the center of the table. And then mentor moves the salt shaker to a different part of the table. He's like, put it back. So Danny puts it back. And then they do this back and forth where Danny puts in the center, Pat moves it away. And he's like, Danny, your job is to move the salt shaker back. Everyone else's job is to move the salt shaker. Your team's job is to move the salt shaker. Your guests, you know what their job is? It's to move the salt shaker. It's the law of entropy. This is the way this works. There are two approaches to this, both of which are poor. And one of those approaches is trying to control and will everyone around you to do your bidding and get frustrated anytime there's a variation from an SOP or people don't behave the way they're supposed to. This is not very helpful, number one, and number two, very logical, because it sort of suggests you haven't spent much time with humans yet. We don't want to be overly like, as we move the salt shaker back. On the other hand, we still want to move it back. We don't want to give up, right? You don't want to be like, oh, well, they moved the salt shaker over there. What can I do? Well, as it happens, you can do a lot of things. And that leads to this framework that I love that is elucidated in this book, constant, gentle pressure. 3 pieces to good management. So let's unpack this a little bit by talking about what the opposite might look like and then what this might look like in practice. Constant. The opposite of constant would be we're not consistent about the management. We are overwhelmed by all the things of running the business, and the team is not getting constant feedback. They're not getting the constant gentle pressure. We want to be constant giving the feedback to the team. You want to train people from the minute they come in your organization, set the expectation, they're always being coached. You're always getting feedback, right? Because when you're looking to hire someone, you have to be giving them constant love, care, compassion, attention through constant coaching. Second part is gentle. We want to be gentle. So what would be the opposite of gentle? The obvious one is browbeating people, right? It's like not being gentle, being forceful, being demanding, robbing people of dignity, berating people, dressing them down, losing your temper. That super sucks. Being gentle does not mean necessarily that you're pussyfooting around saying the thing that needs to be said, right? It just means that you're thoughtful that that's a human you're dealing with, but it doesn't mean that you're not willing to say the thing that needs to be said. Which leads into the third piece, which is pressure. What does the opposite of pressure look like? Well, the opposite of pressure is, again, it's probably giving up. It's probably never quite saying the thing, maybe thinking you're being gentle, but really you're being a wuss and you're not saying the thing that needs to be said. The pressure, particularly when it is married with consistency and some gentleness, you can press, and again, appropriately for that individual. Again, it's going to look different for different people, but the reality is you do have to ensure that those standards are being met. They have to hit the expectations every time, and you do need to just gently keep inviting them, keep pushing them to live up to their potential, to create those incremental, those small marginal increases in performance that really compound over time. So you are 2 pieces here when I think about what I mean by pressure is you're inspecting what you expect, right? You're giving what Chet Holmes called stubborn pig-headed discipline. You're making sure the standards are being met. There's a very consistent, constant system of accountability to make sure the SOPs are being followed. And then importantly, you're just continuing to invite them to dream bigger, just gently in ways that's appropriate for them and their current capacity and their life goals and their personality style, help giving them some oomph, some pressure to move them towards who they want to be in the world, to develop themselves towards the missions that they have in a way that is ideally also serving the rest of the business, including the biz at large and your clients. All right, friends, constant gentle pressure. This is one of my favorite frameworks. I hope you can tell. I get very jazzed up talking about this. So if you like this video, if you like this content, it would really mean a lot to me if you like, subscribe, and share, because I am really looking to get the word out to training gym owners all over the land so that any fitness professional that likes to learn about the fitness business knows they have a home here, because I'm going to keep giving out free content and do everything I can to make this industry a more successful place. That's all for today. I will catch you next time, where we will cover more actionable tips, psychological frameworks, and philosophy.